Hello, students. Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the sweet sounds of reading TV. Now, my name is Tutor Vanessa, and my job is to make sure that you're able to break down the sounds inside of any words so that you can read anything. Now, in today's class, we are going to learn a brand new letter sounds, or I should say sounds codes category. And these sound codes are called scissor sounds. Now, let me tell you a little bit about scissor sounds. Scissor sounds are those extra sounds that you find at the end of what appears to be a really big or long word, but we're going to learn how to cut off those scissor sounds and sound out the small word that's left over and then add the scissor sounds back to it, okay? So, let's get started. Now, let me tell you a little something else about scissor sounds. They're really easy to sound out, and there's 5 basic scissor sounds. The very first one is the letter S. When you see the letter S at the end of a word, it makes the S sound like the letter S. And we're going to learn how to just cut off that S and sound out the small word that's left over. The next scissor sound that we're going to learn is spelled L-E-S-S. And these 4 letters, they work together as a team. And when you sound them out, it sounds like less, less. And as you can see on the screen here, there's a twin sound. There's 2 S's. Remember, twin sounds are 2 identical letters in this case that make one sound, right? The very next scissor sound we're going to learn to identify at the end of a word is ness. Ness, and that's these 4 letters work together as a team, and they sound, when you sound them out, it says ness. Ness. Again, there's that twin sound again, and remember, twin sounds in this case, it's 2 identical letters that make one sound. The next scissor sound code that we're going to learn today is ly, and ly is pronounced lee, lee. And if you look at the screen here, the Y, the letter Y in this scissor sound, it's clowning around, okay? And it's sounding like E. E, like 2 vowels go to walk in. The first one does the talk, sounds like E. So when you see ly at the end of the word, we're going to learn how to snip it off. And the very last scissor sound we're going to learn in today's class is ful. And to pronounce this team of 3 letters is full. Foo. It's like you're making the letter F sound and the letter L sound. The U is clowning around, being silent. Okay, so we're going to learn all 5 of those scissor sounds today, but we're going to learn them one at a time. Okay, all right, so here we go. Let me just load up the screen here, and this is what a scissor sound looks like. All right, so what we're going to do today, we're going to pretend, we're going to make believe that our fingers are a pair of scissors, and we're going to be snipping, snip, snip, snip today, okay? So look at this really big word that's highlighted in yellow on your screen here. It looks like a big word, right? But there are 2 scissor sound codes in this word. And we're going to snip them off one at a time, and then we're going to sound out the small word that's left over, okay? So we're going to snip off the ly, and we're going to snip it off or cut off the ful, all right? Let's see how that looks. And if we cut off those 2 scissor sounds, look what we're left with. We're left with this small word, C-A-R-E. Now we can sound out this word, can't we? At the very end of this word is what kind of sound? The letter E. And the letter E is always silent at the end of a word. And, do you recall what else happens? It's a tagger. It turns into a tagger. It's always hopping, or I should say it's always hopping looking for a vowel to tag. So, and if it lands on a vowel, it's like tag, say your name. And all that simply means, if you recall from the last class, that a tag vowel, when you sound it out, it has to say its letter name, all right, or its long vowel sound. So in this word, the letter E tags the A. It's pronounced A. When you sound out this word, it's care. Care. Okay? So now we're going to add back those 2 scissor sounds one step at a time. All right? So look at the screen here. The very first care, we'll add the scissor sound full to it. And you sound out this word with the scissor sound full is careful. And then we add the next scissor sound is careful. Vanessa is carefully. So carefully, carefully. So you see how this really big word, what appears to be a big word, but it's just full of scissor sounds. Those extra sounds on the end, when we cut them off, we're left with this small word. And then you just add the scissor sounds back to it. All right, so we're gonna get a lot of practice in today if that sounds a little confusing. So just hang in there with me, all right? So carefully, what is care? If you're careful, if you care about something, what does that mean? That you treat it really special, or you treat it really delicately, right? You're not rough with it. You're really mindful of how you handle something. So if you handle something carefully, you just really particular, right? You make sure that that you're gentle with it carefully. All right, let's go. All right, so we're going to start with the very easy scissor sounds, and that's the letter S. So whenever the letter S is at the end of a word, we're just going to snip it off, right? So here are the 4 steps for identifying a scissor sound. Step number 1, you're going to snip it off. Step number 2, you're going to see and sound out the word that's left over after you snip off the scissor sound. Step number 3, you're going to sound or let me go back to step number 2. You're going to see and sound out the word. Okay, I said that. And then step number 3, you're going to add the scissor sound back to it. And then you're going to read, in step number 4, you're going to read the word quickly. Okay, now that was a little fast. That's okay, because I'm on a time limit here. So we're going to slow it down, right, in the when we do the example. So here it is. So this is going to be a part of your homework practice. So step number 1, we're gonna snip off the scissor sound S. So we're gonna snip off the scissor sound in this word, and it's almost like the scissor sound that we cut off becomes invisible. Bear with me a second here. Let's make it invisible. So it's almost like the scissor sound's invisible. What's the word left? Bun. Bun. What's a bun? Right? Like a piece of bread that you eat with your hot dog or hamburger. Bun. We're going to add the scissor sound back to it. It becomes buns. See how that works? Let's try another one. In this word, we see P-I-G-S. We notice that the scissor sound S is at the end of the word. We're going to snip it off. What's left? Pig. Pig. What's a pig? A pig is an animal that goes oink oink. But we're going to add that scissor sound that we snipped off back to pig. Pigs. So pigs is more than one pig, right? Alrighty then. So again, that's going to be a part of your homework practice. And I want you to physically or pretend that you're cutting off the scissor sound. So use your 2 fingers as scissors and snip it off. All right. Good job. Good job. All right. Now let me just go over this with you in this particular word. So we see on the screen here, you see P-I-P-E-S. Now for my levels 2 and 3 students, who you might know what this word is, so don't check out on me. I want you to hang in there with me mentally, because what you're doing is coding. I want you to see the code, okay? I want you to talk it out, talk the code out. But for my level 1 students, my brand new students, this is what we're going to do. We're going to snip off that scissor sound, right? And what do we have left? We have a letter E at the end of a word. So whenever you see a letter E at the end of a word, I want you to think 2 things quickly. It's always silent, and it's a tagger. It's always looking for a vowel to tag. So just test it. Does it tag a vowel in this word? And how many letters can it hop over? Who remembers? That's right, it can hop over 1 letter, the letter right next to it. If it lands on a vowel, it says tag, say your name. So see how it landed on that I? So the I, when you sound out this word, the I has to say I. So to sound out this word, the word would be pipe. Pipe. Like maybe your mom, maybe your dad, maybe even your mom smoked a pipe. Or a pipe is under your sink that the water runs through pipe. But don't forget to add that scissor sound back to it. What do we have here? Pipes. Good. So I just wanted to call to your attention, when you cut off a scissor sound and you're left with the letter E, remember E does 2 things. At the end of a word, E is silent and it turns into a tagger. And if it tags a tag vowel, when you sound it out, it has to say its letter name. And real quick, what are the 5 vowel sounds again? Or the 5 vowel letters, I should say. Did you say A, E, I, O, U? Right. So if the letter E tags A, E, I, O, or U, when you sound it out, it has to say its letter name, not its letter sound. And remember, the letter U is a little bit tricky because instead of saying this letter name U, it says ooh, ooh. Good job. All right. So again, that is a part of your homework. Okay. More homework. Once you practice chopping off or snipping off the letter S, then you're going to show your stuff. You're going to show your letter sound out skills on this page, and you're going to work with your mom or your dad or a reader teacher in your house, and you're just going to snip off the scissor sound out the word. Now let's do this very first one together. In this word, we're going to snip off the S in our mind. We're going to cut it off, okay? Make it invisible. What do you have left? There's an E at the end of this word, right? So when you see an E, I want you to think in your mind quickly. Two things are happening. It's silent and it's looking for a vowel to tag. Repeat after me. It's silent and it's looking for a vowel to tag, right? So in this word, the letter E is silent. It hops over one letter, but it lands on a P. So since it didn't tag a vowel, it just goes to sleep. Do you remember that chant from last class? If a tagger doesn't tag a vowel, don't you weep? The tagger E just goes to sleep. Remember that? Good job. So this word is apple. You're going to add back the scissor sound as apples, like more than one apple. So again, this is a part of your homework, and you're going to do this with a parent or a reader teacher, and to make sure everybody stays in the game, stays alert, stays engaged. You read a word, the parent or reader teacher read the word. You read a word, they read a word. And always remember to use these words in a sentence, okay? Good job, good job, good job. All right, moving right along, let's go to the next scissor sound, all right? So the next scissor sound we're going to learn today is less. And these four letters work as a team. And the four steps, again, when you see L-E-S-S at the end of what appears to be a big word, you're going to snip it off and make that big word become a small word, okay? So step number one, cut it off. Step number two, sound out the small word that's left over. Step number three, add the scissor sound back to the small word, and then quickly say the word, okay? Let's try it together. Here we go. Now notice how all these words, they look like big, long, difficult words, but they're not, right? Because we're learning how to identify those extra sounds at the end called scissor sounds. So in this very first word that's part of your homework practice, you're going to snip off. You're gonna say, oh, I see a scissor sound, L-E-S-S, less. So you're gonna cut off that less, and it's gonna be almost like you did this. What's left? Cap. Cap. A cap is something that you wear on your head. We add that scissor sound back to it. It becomes capless. That means you're not wearing a cap. Less means not. All right? Right. So again, that is a part of your homework. You're going to practice cutting off those scissor sounds in your mind, sounding out the little small word that's left, and then adding the scissor sound back to it. Okay? So remember, we talked about this. We talked about this all the time. There's no such thing as a word too big to read for those that know the code. And you're learning the code, right? So, and the code is cutting off these extra sounds or these scissor sounds, okay? Same thing applies to this word that's going to be in your homework. Again, in this word, look at this word on the screen here. What appears to be a really big word, but it's not. So we're going to cut off the scissor sound L-E-S-S. It's almost like we're going to make it disappear. What's left? T-I-M-E. At the very end of that word, you see that E. The letter E is one of the hardest working words in all of the letter sounds, right? So two things happen when an E is at the end of a word. It's silent and it's tag. It's a tagger. It's always looking for a vowel to tag. In this case, the letter E hops over the M, tags that I. Tag, say your name. So when you sound this word out, the I has to say I. So the word is time. Time, right? Add the scissor sound back to it, timeless. So if something timeless, that means it just goes on and on and on and on and on. There's no time limit. Timeless. Good job. So again, this page, I want you to practice. That's a part of your homework. Once you got that down, you know it, it's in your bones. Like I can sound out these words with scissor sounds like that. Then you're going to show what you know on this next page of your homework. You're going to sound out these words quick, 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 fast, and in a hurry, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And you're going to work with a parent or a reader teacher, okay? And to make sure everybody stays in the game, this is what you're going to do. You read a word, they read a word. You read a word, they read a word. And if you need to talk yourself through it, you can say, chop off, snip off the scissor sound. The word is aid, added back, aidless, right? But if you don't need to do that, just sound it out. Aidless, aimless, airless, etc., etc., etc. So again, that is a part of your homework. Let's learn a new one. All right. New scissor sound, ness, ness. When you see these 4 letters at the end of a word, they work together as a team, and the sound they make is ness. So you're gonna, well, let me just say this. It's gonna look like it's a really big word, but you're gonna cut off that ness. When you spot that ness, you're gonna read the small word that's left over, and then you're gonna add the scissor sound back to it and sound it out quickly. Okay? It goes something like this. All right, let's do the very first one here. Let me center this a little bit better on the screen. So the very first word here looks like a big, long, complicated, hard, difficult word to read, but it's not, right? Not for you because you know the code. What you're going to do is you're going to snip off that scissor sound, N-E-S-S. It's almost like you're making it invisible, right? What's left? This little bitty word, F-I-T, fit. Fit. If you're fit, that means that you're in shape, that you work out, you do exercise, all right? And then we're going to add that scissor sound back to it. Ness, fitness, right? So if you're into fitness, that means you're into taking care of your body, right? Exercising, eating right, etc. All right. Now look at this word here on the screen, right here. You know the drill by now, right? You're going to look at this really long word and you go like, no, it's not, because I know how to break this down. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut off the scissor sound. It's almost like you're going to make it invisible. What do you have left? L-I-K-E. I see an E. What happens when you see an E at the end of a word? You remember it does 2 things. It's silent and it's a tagger. And by being a tagger, it's always looking for a vowel to tag, all right? So it hops over that K, lands on that I, tag, say your name. So when you sound this out, the letter I has to say I. So the word is like. I like the fact that you're learning how to do this. Do you like that? All right, so we're going to add that scissor sound back to like that we snipped off, right? In our mind, we pretended that we snipped it off, but we got to add it back. Likeness. And a likeness can mean a couple of things, like maybe you like something or you look like something, and there's a likeness. You share a likeness with something. Not the best example, but that's the best I can come up with off the top of my head. But likeness. So always remember, when you cut off that scissor sound, if you're left with the letter E, remember E does 2 things: silent, and it turns into a tagger. All right. So again, that is a part of your homework. Once you do that page and you practice and you get it down where you can just sound off those scissor sounds or those words with scissor sounds like that, then show your stuff, show your sound out skills. So you're going to come to this page and you should be able to sound these words out just like that. And you're going to work again with a parent or a reader teacher, and you read a word, they read a word. You read a word, they read a word. And always remember to use the words in a sentence, okay? Good job. All right. Let's do another one. All right. So we're gonna this scissor sound. These 3 letters work together as a team at the end of a word, and it's pronounced full. It's like FL, full, because the letter U in this team of sounds is clowning around, goofing off, not saying its sound. It's not saying anything. It's being quiet. Full, full, full. Okay. So you know the steps, right? There's 4 steps. You see what appears to be or what looks like a really big word. You're like, I spot a scissor sound. Snip it off. Sound out the small word that's left over, and then add the scissor sound back to it. Okay? Let's do this. Da, da, da. Look on your screen here, the very first word. Looks like kind of a big word, kind of a complex, difficult word to sound out, but not for you because you know the code. So we're going to snip off that scissor sound. What's left? Look at that little bitty word that's left. Bag. Anybody can sound out bag, right? A bag is like a paper sack, right, that contains things, right? Let's add that that scissor sound back to it. Bag full, bag full. If you have a bag full of something, that means you got a whole bag full of apples or something like that. All right. So again, this is going to be a part of your homework, and you're just gonna show your stuff and show what you know. And so, and here it is, another scissor sound that we've been going over. You're going to cut it off. You're left with the letter E at the end of a word. Two things should pop in your head immediately. I see an E. It's silent, and it's a tagger. It's always looking for a vowel to tag. Tag vowel says your name. Tag say your name. A. So when you sound out this word, the letter A has to say A, not A, right? A. So this word is shame. Shame. Add back the scissor sound. Full. Shameful. So if you're ashamed of something, it's like you're embarrassed about something, right? If it's shameful, it's something that's kind of embarrassing, something you feel kind of bad about. Shameful. All right then. Good job. And words like this, remember we learned this a long, long time ago. When two vowels go to walking, the first one does the talking, and it says its letter name, not its letter sound. And remember the letter Y is the cousin vowel, right? There are 5 vowels, or A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes it's cousin Y. Good job. All right, so just wanted to call that to your attention. Now, once you practice and practice and practice that page, and you think you know your stuff, now it's time to show what you know. So on this page, you should be able to sound out. You should be able to spot these scissor sounds, sound them out just like that. Work with a parent or a reader teacher. And again, you know the drill. You read a word, and then they read a word. You read a word, and then they read a word, right? Or you read them all if you just feel like, you know, you got it like that. But always remember to use each word in a sentence, okay? All right. Let's learn a new one. So the next scissor sound that's up on deck is Lee. Lee. Remember it's like the pairing or the partnering of ly as a scissor sound. The letter Y clowns around and makes the E sound. So this scissor sound at the end of a word says Lee. All right. Good job. All right. Let's test it. Let's see how this works. This is going to be a part of your homework. You're going to look at what appears to be a big word or a difficult word, but it won't be for you because you know the code, right? So this very first word on the screen here, you're like, I spot a scissor sound. Chop it off, chop it off. What's left? Bad, bad. If something's bad, it's not good, right? Let's add back that scissor sound. Badly, right? So let's say you're behaving badly. That means you're not being really good, all right? Let's look at this second one since it's on the screen here. Looks like a big long word, right? But nope. Because what you're like, I spot a scissor sound. Snip it off. What's left? Crisp. Crisp. Do you like when you eat something fried? Do you like it crisp? Crisp, right? Maybe chicken if you eat chicken, right? Let's add that scissor sound back on there. Crisply, 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 all right? Can't even say it, but you know what I'm saying. Crisply, all right? So, again, this is going to be a part of your homework. You're going to practice, practice, practice. And once you think you got it down pat, that means you know your stuff. It's going to show your stuff, right? You're going to show what you know. You're going to practice these words with a parent or a reader teacher. Now there's a couple of words on here that are a little bit longer, maybe a little bit harder than others, but just take your time. Use the sound out skills that you've been learning, like a word like this, right? That looks like a really big word. Even if we cut off, let's see if it'll work with me. If my computer will work with me. Work with me, work with me. Even if we cut off the scissor sound, you still looks like you're left with a big word. All right, so you have a couple of you have a few tools at your disposal to sound this word out, right? You can take your time and just sound it out, blend all the sounds together, or you can write it on a scratch sheet of paper, and you can sandwich the vowel and sound out like word sandwiches. You can write this type of sound or identify the type of sound underneath each letter, like a bounce sound, a slide sound, quickie to, etc. You can even dance it out. Remember, when you identify the sound types, you can dance out. Like I see a slide, I see a bump, I see a bounce, a slide, a slide, a slide, a slide, a bounce, etc. Whatever works for you to sound out a word like this. And this word is confident. When you are confident, that means that you believe in yourself, that you believe that you know what you know, that you're confident that you can sound out big words. We're going to add that scissor sound back to it. It's confidently. Okay, good job. All right. So again, that is a part of your homework. We are moving, we're just doing big things. Now, sometimes words have two scissor sounds at the end. So you just take your time, know your stuff, and like if you spot two scissor sounds, just snip them off, one scissor sound at a time. So we're going to work on fully. Sometime, all right, we're going to work on words that have these two scissor sounds at the end, and we're still going to follow the 4 steps, all right? So it's going to go something like this. All right, so look at the very first example here. This looks like a really long word. You can go, what's going on here? I see 2 scissor sounds, okay? Very first scissor sound that we see here is Lee. Let's snip that off. And then the next scissor sound I see here is full. Let's snip that off. What's left? Bliss. If you're bliss, that means you're in a really happy state. I just feel bliss. And then we're going to add the scissor sounds back one step at a time, right? In the reverse order. So the very first scissor sound we're going to add back is full. So the word becomes blissful. And then we're going to add the next scissor sound, ly. Blissfully. Okay? So you're going to do this in a part of your homework packet. And what you can do, instead of, what you can do is draw a line down, draw a line to snip off each scissor sound like I did here. So here I drew a line right at ly, Lee, and then we drew another line at ful, right? So again, so you're going to snip it off when you do your homework practice, and then you're going to sound out the small word that's left over, and then you're going to add each scissor sound back one step at a time, okay? Just like we did here on the screen. Again, so that is a part of your homework. All right, the next scissor sounds, where there are 2 scissor sounds in one word, okay? So whenever you see these extra sounds at the end of a word, fullness, you're just going to follow the steps. You're going to say, oh, this looks like a big word, but it's not, because I see 2 scissor sounds. I see ness, so you're going to snip it off, and I see full, and you're going to snip it off, okay? So let's practice that. Let's see what's going on here. Da, 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 da. All right, so look at the screen here. This looks like a really big word, right? But it's not, right? So the very first thing you're going to I see in this word 2 scissor sounds. We're going to snip off the first one, N-E-S-S, right? Let's make it go away. And then I see another scissor sound. We're going to snip off this one. We're going to make it go away. What are we left with? S-H-A-M-E. And then you see an E, right? And at the end of the word, the letter E is silent, and it's a tagger. Always looking, it's always searching for a vowel to tag. In this case, it does. It tags the A. A tags say your name. So when you sound out this small word, you know that the A has to say A and not eh. So this word is shame. Shame. And then we're going to add back the scissor sounds. One scissor sound or one step at a time. Shameful. Shamefulness. Okay? So again, this is going to be a part of your homework. You're going to cut off those scissor sounds, sound out the small word that's left over, and then you're going to add the scissor sounds back to the word one step at a time, just like we just did, all right? You want to try another one? Let's try this one. So let me center this a little bit better on the screen. So in this particular word, this looks like a really big long word, but you with your eye, you got an eye for this kind of, for the code. Like I spot the code. You're gonna snip off the first scissor sound, ness. I see another one. You're gonna snip off this scissor sound, full. What's left? This little bitty word, huh? Looks like it was a big old word, but it's not. Trust. Trust. That means you gotta trust, that believe in something you trust. You must believe in your sound out ability, your skills to sound out words, right? So trust. We're gonna add back the first scissor sound, full. Let's put it together, trustful. We're gonna add the next scissor sound, ness. Trustfulness. Big ups, big ups, big ups, right? Again, that's going to be a part of your homework. Let's do another one. Now, when you're reading a word, you see these two extra sounds at the end of a word, you're just going to snip them off, one sound bite at a time. And together it's Leslie. Almost sounds like a girl's name, huh? Leslie. Or there are some guys, Leslie. All right. But let's see how this works. So again, this is going to be a part of your homework practice. And what you're going to do with this, when you snip off a scissor sound, you're going to draw a line. The line represents you're cutting off the scissor sounds. So let's do this first one. So we spot Lee, cut it off, right? So if we were to cut off Lee, it's almost like we did that. And then there's less. Let's see if we can, the computer will let me cut off less without making too much of a mess. We cut that off. What are we left with? Aim. Aim. That little bitty word, aim, right? So then we're going to add each scissor sound back one step at a time, or one step. Aim, less, aimlessly. That means that you're running around with no destination. You're just kind of like lost, okay? And you know the drill for this next one. You're going to cut off the first scissor sound, ly, the Lee. Then you spot another one. You're going to cut off the next scissor sound. Let's see if the computer will work with me. I got those. Okay, it's being kind of weird. Hold on, people. Come on. It doesn't like my little. All right, so we're going to cut off that next one. What are you left with? B-L-A-M-E. A letter E is at the end of that word, right? So when you see an E, you're thinking two things. Silent, look, and it's a tagger. Silent tagger, silent tagger, silent tagger, silent tagger, right? So the letter E is silent, but it's always looking for it, and then it turns into a tagger, always looking for a vowel to tag. And in this case, it tagged the letter A. A tagged vowel, tag, say your name. So a tagged vowel, that means when you sound it out, it has to say its letter name, not its regular letter sound. So this A says A. So the word is blame, blame. Do you ever get blamed for doing something you didn't do? Stop blaming me, blame. And then we're going to add back each scissor sound that we snipped off one sound at a time. Blame, less. Let's put it together. Blameless. Blamelessly, blamelessly. Okay, good job. Again, this is going to be a part of your homework, right? And look, and notice how these look like really, really big words, but they're not, right? All you got to do is have the tools or the codes to figure out how to sound these words out. And when you're reading, you're going to be reading so fast. All this stuff is going to be happening in your mind faster than you can think. But it's going to be possible or doable because we're learning the codes step by step. So you take your time now so that when you see it in a word or in a story, you can quickly do it. All right? Good job. Let's do another one. All right. So whenever you see these two extra sounds at the end of a word, less-ness, you're just going to follow the code, right? Or the steps. You're going to cut off the first scissor sound, then you're going to cut off the next scissor sound, and then you're going to sound out that little bitty word that's left, and then you're going to add the scissor sounds back, right? One step at a time. All right. So let's do this. Dun, da, da, da. So there's not. So look at this word. Now, see this really big word here on the screen? Or it looks like a really big word, right? But what are you going to do? Well, the very first thing, you're like, I can handle this. Ain't no big word. I know what to do. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut off that first scissor sound that you spot. Ness. You're like, I see another one. You're going to cut off this next scissor sound that you spot. Less. What's left? Defense. Defense, right? Well, I kind of jumped the gun for a second here. What's left, you're going to see the letter E at the end of the word. And the letter E at the end of the word is always silent, looking for a vowel to tag, right? And in this case, it lands on the letter N. Is the letter N a vowel? Let me see. A-E-I-O-U. That would be, no, that's not a vowel. So what happens to the letter E when it doesn't tag a vowel? What's that chant? If a tagger doesn't tag a vowel, don't you weep? The tagger E just goes to sleep. Nothing, it just goes to sleep. So again, the word is defense. Okay, so you see the 4 steps. You cut off the scissor sound or sounds. You sound out the word that's left over. But if the word that's left over ends in the letter E, you got to do 2 more things in your mind. You got to remember it's silent, and you got to hop in to see if it tags a vowel. Defense. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right. So again, so this is going to be a part of your homework. You're going to you're looking for the 2 scissor sounds lessness. You're going to chop them off and look what's left, right? So with a word like this, let's start here. We chop off that ness. Oh, there's another one. We chop off that less. What are we left with? Now you're going to have to remember from way back when the 2 vowels walking rules that we learned, right? We learned when 2 vowels go to walk in, the first one does the talk in, and it screams out its letter name, not its letter sound. So we're left with AI, and these are 2 vowels that are walking. The A does the talking, so when it's in the letter I is silent. So you sound out this word as air. Now let's add back those scissor sounds that we cut off 1 step at a time. Air. Less-ness, airlessness, okay? Good job. So this is a part of your homework packet. So you're going to have to really recall. You're going to have to play that. You're going to have to roll that tape in your mind of all the classes that you've learned, that you've been practicing, because there's a lot of partner sound rules. Remember we did the R partners, right? A-R-R. So you already know when you cut off the scissor sounds, let's cut them off. When you cut off the scissor sound, if you're left with the letter E, you know what to do, right? E is silent, and it's a tag, turns into a tagger looking for a vowel to tag. Doesn't tag a vowel, goes to sleep. So you're going to have to really know your stuff. You're going to have to really have been practicing, so that you can read these words just like that. I know you can do it. All right. So again, this is a part of your homework practice. Dun, da, da, da. So we learned a lot in today's class, didn't we? But we're at the letter sounds codes countdown clock. And as of today, with these new scissor sounds that you've learned, we have learned 52 codes. You know, 52 letter sound codes. And we only have 51 to go. I know it sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But it's not, right? So let's look at the letter sound clock. We are right here. We're almost at the halfway mark, aren't we? We're right here. And look, we've learned all of these sounds. Look at all the sounds, the codes, I should say, that we've learned. And we're just ticking away. We've almost our goal is to learn 103 letter sound codes, and we are really getting there, aren't we? Good job. Good job, good job, good job. All right. All right, so we're at the part of the class where I need you to help me out. I need you to share this class with everybody that you know, all right? So I need you to ask your mom or your dad, or if mom or dad and dad's in the room, right? I need you to send a text, pick up the phone, and tell people about this class. And I also need you to give me a mark, right? If you learned something new today, and I hope you did, show me that you like what I've done by hitting that like button, all right? And if there are any parents or reader teachers in the room that haven't subscribed to the channel yet, just hit that subscribe button below this channel. That way, whenever a new class becomes available, you'll be one of the first ones to know. All right? Good job, good job. So we learned a lot today, didn't we? Good job. So let's take a pause. Let's take a breathe. Let's take a pause for the cause. And I want you to remember these two quick things before you go. Number one is practice makes perfect, right? That means you got to practice so you know your stuff. So I need you to really get your homework and practice these scissor sounds. We learned 5 scissor sound codes today. And the reason that's important is for children or for readers who know the letter sound codes, there's no such thing as a word too hard to read, right? Good job. So I'll see you guys in the next class, okay? So goodbye for now.